Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future, and time future contained in time past. If all time is eternally present, all time is unredeemable. Footfalls echo in the memory down the passage which we did not take, towards the door we never opened into the rose garden. My words echo thus in your mind. In the early years of the last century, this house, number 3 Compayne Gardens, West Hampstead, was occupied by the artist Charles Haig Wood and his family. Haig Wood was a successful painter of portraits and what are best described as drawing-room conversation pieces. A leisured, but nonetheless studied bygone elegance, beyond even the scope of the affluent Edwardianism he enjoyed. The Bury Times once declared, Mr. Haig Wood's art suffers much from the tyranny of fashion. This painting, The Peace Offering, features the artist's 2 children, his son Maurice and daughter Vivienne. In 1915, Vivienne married the young American poet T.S. Eliot, who had just completed a year at Merton College, Oxford. After the marriage at Hampstead Registry Office, the couple moved in with Vivienne's parents at 3 Compayne Gardens, a house Eliot found rather gloomy, with long, dark corridors and imposing iron gates and a stout garden wall. During the 2 years Eliot lived in NW6, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock was first published, and the seeds of the wasteland were sown. It is possible, too, that Sweeney among the nightingales had its genesis not far from the former fields where Keats first intoned his Ode to a Nightingale. 3 Compayne Gardens could be said, in a very real sense, to encapsulate the shift from late 19th century Romanticism to modernism. Didn't T.S. Eliot say that marriage gave Vivienne unhappiness and gave to him the wasteland? And would it have been worth it, after all? Would it have been worthwhile? After the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this, and so much more. It is impossible to say just what I mean, but as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen. A few years earlier, and halfway along Compayne Gardens, another modernist spent her formative years. Mina Loy studied painting under Augustus John, who at one time had a studio in West Hampstead's Sheriff Road. She was a regular at Gertrude Stein's salon in Paris, and her poetry was admired by Eliot and Ezra Pound. Here she is at modernism's epicenter, surrounded by Man Ray, Tristan Tzara, Jean Cocteau, and Pound, among others. The West Hampstead that Eliot and Loy knew was one of detached and semi-detached middle-class respectability, but certainly by the post-war years it had acquired for many writers Eliot-esque undertones. When Eliot died 50 years ago this month, the Indian poet R. Parthasarathi wrote in homage, walking alone in West Hampstead or Kilburn on a soft October night, I couldn't help recalling phrases from Eliot, the violet hour, the burnt-out ends of smoky days, Hurry up, please, it's time, or the time-kept city. London is composed of these images. Unreal city, surely. The morning comes to consciousness of faint stale smells of beer from the sawdust-trampled streets, with all its muddy feet that press to early coffee stands. With the other masquerades that time resumes, one thinks of all the hands that are raising dingy shades in 1,000 furnished rooms.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night. Good night.